messed up my young years, and I realized something. I'm gonna tell you, if you're over 40 and you're trying to better yourself, just stop. It's just, you're not gonna better yourself. And when I say you're not gonna better yourself, I mean better yourself like go back to when you try to capture the things you used to do when you supposed to have did it, but you didn't do it. You feel me? So the stuff that you were 18 and didn't do, now you're 40 and you're going, I'm gonna make a change. It's just, it doesn't make me sick more than somebody 40 and say they in school. Like, what you doing? I mean, I'm going to school. You're never too young and never too old and never too... All a bunch of sayings. You know, the older you are, shut the fuck up with your old horse shit. Cause it ain't, you're old. Your brain don't work. Your body don't work. You can't change your...
Gematria Forum here on YouTube wants to know, Mr. Connolly, what do you know about the Judeo-Masonic Mafia? Peter Gabriel, his music tells the story. Perhaps something to research. I don't know anything about that. We hear a lot.
I think I know what they're, alluding to. And, I would like to answer that point about the Judeo-Masonic Lodge. I think I know what it's referring to. But I would rather say to that person, please be aware, and I'm going to have to be careful here. I don't want to get upset. I'm going to get upset. Just give me a second.
Sure.
Don't change the subject, just answer the fucking question.
If there was one physical subject, one material subject that we should focus on, in my opinion, it is very clear that the head of the snake is the financial system. We can argue till the end of time about who runs the world. Is it the Jesuits? Is it the reptilians? Is it the Illuminati? Is it the Freemasons? We can go on and on and on and on about this. But I don't think it is reasonable to even begin arguing about the mechanism that is used to exert this control. The mechanism is finance. The whole point of finance is to indebt, otherwise to enslave. What is a mortgage? I mean, what does that stand for? It's a death grip. So when you get a mortgage, you have a death grip held over you because you are in debt. You don't even own the house. The bank owns the house that loans you the money to buy the house, unless you're fortunate enough to have all the money to buy it outright. And even then you can be taxed by the government, and if you fail to keep up with those taxes, the government can then take it from you. The whole system is based on a financial fraud which effectively takes the power that we have and it gives it to a tiny group of individuals who are running the world through the control of finance. With the infinite supply of money that we have allowed them to take, they have literally an infinite supply of money, and with that money, and from their psychopathic point of view, they have bought everything and everyone who can be bought. So those of us who cannot be bought, because we operate on a level that goes way beyond the material, we are not rewarded for such behavior, we are punished for such behavior. And the most slovenly, disgustingly criminal, pedophilia, corrupt moral individuals, those are the ones that are rewarded in this system, which is upside down. We reward the pedophiles, we reward the corrupt, we reward the liars, we reward the people with no morals at all, and usually we compromise them under this system in terms of maybe a videotape. Maybe Barack Obama is gay. Maybe we have videotape of him having sex with another man, or perhaps some other acts that may be not so popular amongst many of the electorate. Or maybe we have videos of political leaders having sex with little boys or little girls. If I was in charge of the world and I was a psychopath and completely drunk on my own power, you can bet damn sure that's what I would do. I wouldn't allow anyone in a position of power who wasn't completely compromised. When you have an infinite supply of money, you can do this. Take that supply of money away, take that power back, put it in the hands of the people, get rid of fractional reserve banking, which is an obscenity in itself. Listen to the lessons of Jesus Christ if you're a Christian who got really pissed off when he went to the temple and he saw what the money changers were doing. Let's take back control of the issuance of money, and not just on a national level. I'm happy to see in Denmark that you have your own currency, you don't have the euro, but on every country's level, they should be issuing their own currency in a transparent, non-usury based way in which it really, truly benefits the people. And in that way, we can literally free ourselves of the banking debt which is drowning us all, and we can stop scrambling for the crumbs from the table of these filthy rich psychopaths and live in a state of abundance just by changing this one thing. And I'm not just talking about abundance for Western nations who have an artificially inflated value with their currencies. We all in the West are guilty of having that reward while the rest of the world is sucking on it. Every nation in the world can use a sensible financial policy to liberate themselves, to have world-class education, infrastructure, everything that a healthy society would require can be had in the worst, most corrupt African country in any part of the world. We can all have that if we simply change that one thing. John F. Kennedy did that about 6 months before he was taken out. He issued United States notes as opposed to Federal Reserve notes. I can assure you the powers that be knew the power of that act, and they took him right out. So the bottom line is, if we as people understand this very simple principle, just this one thing, change this one thing, we can solve every other problem you can name. I don't care what the problem is. I can bring it back to the financial system and an infinite supply of money for a bunch of psychopaths who are running the world, as opposed to an abundant supply of money for all of us. So in that sense, I'm very optimistic. This is not rocket science. I am not the smartest guy in the room. We can all understand this. And as soon as we do, we can exercise the same power that we had, but relinquished, and we can have a future for ourselves and our children. There's a lot to be optimistic about, quite frankly.
Nathaniel, what is Jewish about the New World Order?
Okay, it's very Jewish, and it's all about money. Politics is all about money. If you see a candidate elected, you know there's Jewish money behind him. Okay, that's how a political candidate gets in power. So if you see all these dreamy history books about Churchill, about Franklin Delano Roosevelt, how great they were, you have to just debunk all that stuff, and just sweep that out the door and say what kind of Jewish money and who were they behind these politicians. And that's what it's been all about ever since the Rothschilds got started in their money lending business, which occurred in the late 1800s by late 1700s by Mayor Rothschild, and his sons took it over. And because the Jew is everywhere throughout the world, they built up an international network, an international cartel, and this is known as the International Jew. And the first one to coin that expression was Churchill when he was a young journalist, before he was bought by the Jews, the International Jew. And their agenda was to take over the financial ruling power of nations by getting nations into debt, finding wars, funding their wars, both sides of wars, through credit, getting them into debt, and getting them beholden to Jewish money. That's how I define the Jewish agenda. It's all about Jewish money and the control of nations. And that control includes the demise, destruction, the eradication, the annihilation of Christianity. The Jews fear nothing more than Christianity, because Christianity points the finger at Jews and says, you crucified the eternal Son of God, you're God slayers, and you must repent. See, it puts the Jew at bottom, and it puts the Christian, which can be former Jews, like myself, anybody, all races, it puts them on top. And once this order was in power, it was in control, up until the English Reformation, which started to change all that. We did have a new order that was established by Jesus Christ and his apostles, and it was called the Christian Church. But the Jews did everything they can to destroy that order, and they put together their new world order.
8th grade, I was sort of enjoying the fact that I could do reasonably well without any effort. They had this thing where you'd get an effort, which would be 1, 2, or 3, and then a grade. And so the ideal I always wanted was an A3, where you had the least effort but the highest grade. So my grades weren't all that great. And then in 8th grade, I had been at a private school for a couple of years. And
one night I'm going to come to you inside of your house, wherever you're sleeping, and I'm going to cut your throat.
So I got quite serious about grades at that point.
I told you what I was going to do.
Actually read Catcher in the Rye until I was 13. And, you know, ever since then, I've said that's my favorite book. It's, you know, very clever.
Flores. ¿De parte de qué? Los amigos de tuyo de antes, estos chicos. ¿Quién somos? ¿Yo? Sí, ¿quién somos? No soy nadie. No soy nadie. ¡José! No. ¡José! José no existe. Adiós, motherfuckers.
What are we worried about? Worried about.
Welcome, Colonel Lee. Welcome to my home. Make yourself comfortable there, Colonel. Allow me to get to the point, sir. I have been authorized by President Lincoln himself with the full blessing of the War Department, to offer you full command of the army with the rank of Major General. This army being raised to quell this rebellion and, of course, to preserve the Union.
I assume this army is to be used to invade those areas, to eliminate the rebellion by force.
Yes, sir. The federal government has been challenged by these rebels, who have been most effective in changing the sentiments of various state legislatures, challenging our Constitution and challenging our central government. The attack on Fort Sumter cannot be ignored.
General, my home is right there across the Potomac, while you can see Arlington House from your front door. My family is spread all over this part of Virginia. If you invade the South, your enemy territory will be there, right across that river.
Well, sir, there is no great outcry for secession in Virginia. It's not a foregone conclusion that Virginia or Tennessee, Arkansas, or Kentucky will join the rebellion.
My friend, may I humbly submit that you're mistaken about Virginia. As you know, the legislature is convening in Richmond this very day to discuss the very issue of secession. Now, perhaps you know their mind better than they themselves. And I regret to say the president's hasty calling up of 75,000 volunteers to subdue the rebellion in the Cotton States has done nothing to ameliorate the crisis. It has only deepened it.
I trust you're not being too hasty yourself, Colonel. This is a great opportunity for you to serve your country.
My country, Mr. Blair. I never thought I'd live to see the day that the President of the United States would raise an army to invade his own country. No, Mr. Blair, I cannot lead it. I will not lead it.
I'm sorry to hear you say that, sir. I fear you're making a most dreadful mistake.
Sir, would you please convey my deepest sense of honor and gratitude to the President, but I must decline his offer. Please tell him, please be clear. I have never taken my duties lightly, but I have no greater duty than to my home, to Virginia.